Welcome to this month's webinar all about AI agents. And so there's been a lot of talk this year around AI agents, what they are, and they've been predicted to be really the next stage of AI development. Generative AI was huge, and then now we're moving into agents. Now, there's been a lot of talk about what agents are and what they're not and what they can and can't do. Today, I really wanted to create this webinar to dispel some of the talk around it, explain what they are, what the potential is, because they're definitely not 100% foolproof and 100% accurate with what they do. So I'm going to show you a few ways that they can be used just to give you a bit more information about what they could actually do for you and your business if you are a business owner. In this session, it will be a little bit of explanation and then some live demos. So what we're going to do is first I'll give you some background around AI agents and what they are. Then we'll also talk about the benefits and the risks, because it's not all sunshine and rainbows and unicorns. We need to be really, I guess, accurate around what the impacts are, both positive and negative, and then some real world examples of things that they can be used for. In this session, I'm going to use an AI agent called Manus. And so we'll do some practical demos using Manus. It just is doing tasks that, possibly you would find helpful as well. And then we'll talk about how you can implement best practices when you're using AI agents and next steps, and there'll be time for questions, of course. What is an AI agent? Basically, at the moment, when you're using a tool like, say, ChatGPT, it can only really do one or two tasks maybe at a time. You break it down. It doesn't seem to be able to manage if you said, write this, do this, a range of tasks in the same prompt. It gets confused most of the time. I can't do everything. And you need to be very much in control of each of the tasks that it does. However, an AI agent is autonomous. So you still need to give it a prompt and an instruction, but it could be a multi-step task where you ask it to do something and then it identifies the steps in that task and then goes away and does it. It does often come back and ask you for further information and to clarify things, and then it will go off and do the task on its own and then come back with the results, which is quite amazing when you think about that. Where we're at the moment, it can do all sorts of things, but I think now that people are shopping using AI search so much more, and then they're using Google, that sort of use of AI is ramping up. They're saying that pretty soon, I can't say exactly when, but pretty soon you'll be able to get an AI agent to go off and actually make purchases for you. But that would involve giving it your credit card information. So that's a whole other workshop, a whole other layer of security that needs to be sorted out before that actually happens. But it'll be able to go off and do tasks for you that would normally take a lot of time. So going off and planning a holiday, for example, and all aspects of that holiday, when you give it the budget and the location and the time frame and those sorts of things. So almost like something that if you had your own personal assistant or you had an intern or someone like that to go off and do a research task for you, it would be able to do that for you. That's it in a nutshell. And it's beyond what we're using now. So in terms of just things like ChatGPT, Google Gemini and Claude, those sorts of things, because it can go off and it really makes some decisions on its own to break down a task and do it and come back. And it handles all of the details, which is very helpful. And it can be quite accurate as well. However, you still need to be that human in the loop and check on it. And the way that it works, very simply, now look, I am not an AI developer by any means, but I've seen how these things work. I've researched how they've worked. I've seen people in presentations. Recently, we had on the Sunshine Coast, we had Ford Fest, and there were a couple of sessions in the AI stream that I hosted all about AI agents and how they function. And then they also created some of the speakers created one on the spot, very simple ones, to show how it can actually come together. You as the user, you're in the driver's seat. You set the goal of what you want it to do. There's an example there that's like audit my website, where we're going to do a similar task like that in a second. Then the AI agent creates its own plan of how it's going to do that. It breaks down the steps in that. So you can see in the brackets there, first of all, it would need to crawl the website, analyze what it finds, and then come back and report to you the recommendations and that the outcomes of that analysis. And by just saying audit my site, that's all you have to tell it. You don't have to tell it the specific steps. It goes away and works those out for itself. Then it determines what sort of tools will it need to be able to perform that task. So clearly it identifies it needs a browser, it might need some spreadsheets, it might code something if it's required. It determines what's needed for that. And then it then evaluates itself to say, is this the right thing? Is this what they want? And I'll show you how this, like when we do the demo. And then it comes back to you after a time, depending on the task and how long it takes, and then gives you the report based on that. It's pretty amazing when you consider how before, really, with something like ChatGPT, you would have to very specifically give it the steps, but now you just give it the objective and it goes off and does it for you. The key benefit really is time. This time saving is amazing. And I'll give you some examples in a second of how I've used it and just saved myself a whole heap of time. It also increases your creativity in that it means that you can go and work on the more creative stuff. You're not having to do more of the mundane tasks. It can do it at any time of the day as well. If you're relying on a staff member, it means you'd have to maybe work within those business hours with them to do the task. And the quality is pretty good. It does still make mistakes. It is AI. And as I've said before, AI is consistently inconsistent. You need to still check it to make sure. And you also need to be the subject matter expert to make sure that you can pick anything that's incorrect as well. But it is pretty accurate from my experience anyway. It's actually pretty good at the quality that comes back. And then it's very cost effective as well. Today, I'll be using the free version of Manus. The only issue may be you get a certain number of tokens. So that's it powers the actions that it takes and the words that it produces. It's called a token. And so I get a number of free tokens because of that. So I'm hoping that I have enough to go through all of the demos. If you pay for Manus, you will clearly get more tokens that you can use for your tasks. Now, I'm using Manus today because there is another AI agent that OpenAI have, and it's called Operator. There's been a lot of talk about Operator as well, but we don't seem to, it's not really available yet, even for the pro version of ChatGPT or anything like that. But if you have a premium subscription with OpenAI, that's $200 a month, you do have access to Operator. I have not reached that stage yet. Before we dive in, I have to be ethical and realistic, just to let you know that, look, as I said, it can still make things up. And that's why you need to be the subject matter expert. You need to be able to tell if it's mucked up, because you don't want whatever it is you're creating to go out into the public with inaccurate information in it. And just all AI, it is slightly getting better, but AI is generally trained on biased data because it just comes from what's already existing and what's on the internet and who's selected what it's trained on, all those sorts of things. So you just need to be aware of those sorts of biases in results and make sure that you push back and get things that are more indicative of our population and our society. Also, data security. Make sure that you're not putting sensitive information into an AI agent, and make sure that you check what happens with the data that you do put into it. Is it being trained on that data? Is it safe? Those sorts of things. And every tool is different. The other thing is that if we're getting AI to do all of the tasks for us, we need to make sure that we can still do the task ourselves if we need to, because you don't want to have your skills diminished because you're over relying on AI to do it for you. And then, of course, cost and access. So as I said, Operator's $200 a month, which I am not at a stage that I can pay for, but I know some people are. But some are free, some agents are free, which is why I'll show you the free version of Manus today. So that's the other sort of consideration. Now, some examples of how it can be used. So some use agents to power chatbots. I know there are some people who use agents to actually respond to LinkedIn posts. So they must have a range of who they want to comment on. And so an AI agent takes in what the post of the person and then generates a relevant response in the comments. Look, I'm in two minds about that. I prefer to write my own responses because I find social media to be very social. And then if you've got AI agents responding to AI agents, it loses the whole point of, of social media, but that's another workshop. You can use it to generate content ideas, which is really helpful if you get stuck, or even to do an analysis on some of the best performing posts of your competitors or people that you admire, and then come back with some recommendations that you can use. It's very good at analyzing data, creating slide decks and things like that, coming up with creative concepts, and even coming up with ideas to pitch. It's good for email outreach as well, sending personalized emails and automating that process. It can even do things like if you give it the types of, say, podcasts in your industry, it can go away and you can get it to find those podcasts and then apply to be a guest on those podcasts on your behalf. That saves so much time. Some ways that I've used it personally, last week I did a workshop on Canva's new AI tools, and I wanted to give the participants in my workshop, who some were quite beginner new to Canva, and so I wanted to give them a step-by-step workbook of how to use those. Now, if I developed that myself, that would have taken me a day to sit there and go through, but I used Manus to develop that workbook with all of the steps. And then I just went in and I went through the process to make sure it worked. Like a recipe, you'd cook it before you gave it away, and then altered here and there. It was pretty accurate and it saved me hours of work. Another way I've used it is I have been given the role, I have volunteered to look after our research group's website at UDSC. And so what I did is I gave it Manus the link to the website and our current website, and then asked it to go off and compare that to other research groups' websites around Australia and give me recommendations on how we can improve ours or enhance ours. And it did. And it was really good and very thorough in its analysis. They're just two examples of how I've used it that have been really helpful and saved me hours of work and have been pretty accurate. Now let's move on to Manus and just seeing how that works. So it's, as I said, it's very good at strategic thinking, and you can see the steps it's taking. It shows you what it's doing and where it's going, and if it needs extra information, it will ask you as well. So let's go over to that. I think for the first demo, what we're going to do is and I'll just use my website for this. I don't want to put anyone else's business up there. We'll see what it does. But what I'm going to do is get it to audit my homepage at drkarensutherland.com. And you see the prompt there. Audit the website at drkarensutherland.com for SEO, titles, keywords, page speed, mobile usability and clarity of service descriptions. Provide actionable recommendations ranked by impact. All right. So this is Manus. And you can see it's very much, sorry, let me get you to, this is Manus. It's very much, as you can see, it's a similar interface with like ChatGPT and some of the other AI tools as well. Now, same things down the side. It has all of the previous things I've had it to do. It's very good at, it can search within those tasks, and you can put that away. Then it's got prompts here you can do. And then these are examples of what other people have used it for. So you can get inspiration from there. Here you can upload files. You can pick standard or high effort, which would cost more tokens. We'll just go standard right now. It also has voice input as well. And so these are the tokens that I have at the moment. So we'll see if it'll actually do what I need it to do. So I'll copy in the prompt. And what I might do is just actually give it the full address, and then we'll see what it does. So now you can see it's thinking, and it just tells me, I'll help you to audit the website. It's good. And then it asks me some questions. So what are your primary goals for this website audit? I'll say improving conversions. And then who is the target audience? I'll just say small business owners. Medium to large organizations. Then it asks, are there any specific areas of the website? I'll just say no. Have you made any recent changes? 3, 4. Are there any competitor websites? I'll just say no for this point in time, because just so it doesn't take too long. And I'll press that. It can do that if you need it to if you want it to actually to look at other websites and then compare them to yours. It's good at doing that too. You can see now it's thanking me for giving it the information, and now it's going through those steps. So it's analyzing website, including SEO titles and keywords. Analyzing, so it's going through that, continuing with the analysis. And if I wanted to click on that, I can see what Manus is actually doing. So if you can see on the side here, this is what it's doing. It's going through those steps. So it's only at the website now. And now it's done the analysis. And it's going through the stages here. Not that this makes any sense to me, because I am not a coder. I know a little bit of HTML and that's about it. But that's the beauty of it. You don't need to be for a tool like Manus. And so it takes a little while to go through. But imagine if I was doing this myself, it would take so much longer. So it's at step 3 of 7. So while it's doing that, let's go back to the presentation. While that's getting ready, it's doing that analysis, and then it's testing it, and then it will provide me with some really good recommendations, hopefully. We've done the prompts. You can see that it's crawling and testing, and now we're just waiting now to get those instructions. And so we'll see how that's going. It's at step 4 now. So it takes a little bit of time, but can you imagine, I'm not an SEO expert at all. I have a team at Dharana who does that sort of stuff, but it's just giving me the insights that it might take a few days to get from them doing it manually. It's still going. It's actually analyzing the website now. Let's look at Manus's. It's actually gone to my UniSC profile. Oh, and now it's back on my website. If you can see, it's really reading the screen, like, interesting. And so now it's generating the recommendations. So it's at step 6 now. Oh no, it's still step 5, but it's writing them. So it's going now to all the links from the home page. It's reading all of those. And you can see it's constantly updating its plan. So it doesn't just go, okay, this is what I'm doing, and then this is the information. It will, if it finds something new, it'll change it on the fly, which is really interesting that it can do that on its own. It's still viewing the browser. It's clicking through all the elements. I'm very interested to see what it comes back with. Okay. And so now it's gone through all the pages and it's generating strengths and weaknesses. We're nearly on the final step. So I appreciate your patience. What you would do normally, if you gave it a task, you wouldn't sit here and watch it. You would go off and do something else while it was doing it and then come back when it's ready. And so now it's looking at the recommendations, updating the plan. Now we're on the final step. We're on the home straight. Thank you for staying with me while this is happening. It's not as fast as something like ChatGPT because it's actually thinking and going through the task and step by step and doing it quite thoroughly. Sometimes with ChatGPT and tools like that, the faster they are, it's a lower quality of output. So it's good to take a little bit longer. Okay, so now it's just writing the report. We'll see what it's doing. It's checked all the page speed analysis, which there is no way I would be able to do that on my own. It's got its checklist of what it's done. So it's done the SEO analysis, it's done page speed, mobile usability, service description, and then recommendations. And here comes the report. If we maximize the report, you can see it's gone through, it's talked about how it's done it, key findings, the analysis and what it needs, page speed. So the page speed load time is excellent, which is good. Mobile usability, let's check that. Service description. And then it's got recommendations. So high impact, medium impact, lower impact, so what it needs. And then it's given me even a roadmap on when I should get things done. There's no way I would have been able to do that on my own. I'm pretty impressed with that. If you're watching, what do you think of that? Imagine you could get it to overhaul and provide recommendations for your website, and then you could be off doing other work and come back, and then you've got a list. And so even if you can't implement those changes yourself, you could give that to a developer then and say, can you please implement those for me? So it's almost like you wouldn't have had to engage them for as much because you've got the things that need to be done rather than them going through and telling you the things that need to be done. The next demo I had for you was around brand narratives. I don't think this would take as long because I just wanted to look at one particular page, another page on the website, and I wanted to draft a 200-word brand story showing how I help strategic communication agencies and departments integrate AI and suggest 3 taglines that could be used. Go back in, we'll start a new task. And this time I'm going to give it my training page for the AI training I do for communication agencies. I'll just tell it for this page and give it the address. This should be a bit more straightforward because I'm not asking it to go through all of those steps. That was quite a big task I asked it to do before. And so now it's going through. So let's open the window. So it goes straight to the website. So it's amazing that the AI can just go off to a website you tell it to, and it's reading that website now. Oh, now it's asking me, what tone would you prefer? I will say warm and approachable. 2, Who's the private target audience? I'll just say communication agency leaders and in-house comms teams. And 3, any specific key messages? I'll just say no. I like too that it comes back and clarifies things with you. So it doesn't go off and do this task and it gives you back all this information you just don't even, it's not even going to be useful to you. It checks in with you to make sure that it's doing the right thing before it does the task. And so now it's just viewing the page. It's viewing my the content that I have on the page, the written content. So that's exactly from that web page. It's completed the current task. Okay, let's have a look. What has it done? Okay, report and send to user. Let's have a look. Tagline. So it's had a look and reworked my content. Taglines: humanizing AI for communication excellence, from tech overwhelm to strategic growth, your trusted AI journey, seamless AI integration, real results and no jargon. It's okay. It's okay. I probably wouldn't use any of those, but at least it gave me something. And the narrative is pretty good. It's told a story based on the information that was there. The next is social media planning. We'll see how it goes with this. What I'm going to do is get it to analyze last month's LinkedIn data for Dharana Digital and then recommend a 2-week posting calendar with 5 LinkedIn post ideas and 5 Instagram captions tailored to wellness business owners. Let's see what it does with this one. I'll just pop this into Manus as well. So let's go over to Manus. Again, we'll shut this one down. We'll start a new task. I might stick with the LinkedIn just so it doesn't take too long. And so it'll analyze and then come back with some questions for me. You can see, here we go, some clarifying questions. Do you have access to analytics data? I would need to do screenshots. So let's go over to LinkedIn. And then it's just a matter of going, if you've got a company page, going in there and grabbing the analytics from your company page and popping those in. So it's just taking a few moments to load. There we go. Here's our page, Dharana Digital. So we've got this analytics tab right here. I'll just give it this, I think. This is from this month. So we'll do a screenshot to Manus. There's that. Added 2. Are there specific metrics? I'll just say no. 3, does Dharana Digital have specific target audience within wellness business community? I'll say no. Are there particular themes or offerings? SEO, AIO, and social media packages. And then, oh, that was 4. Got 2 3s, 4, and then 5. Do you have any content preferences? No. So it's very, I like how it actually asks really relevant questions. And so it's got the metrics now. You can see analytics for May, showing impressions, comments, and reposts. And now it's doing the job. It's already at step 4 of 7. So now it's analyzing. And so that was just a screenshot. I just did a screenshot of it and popped it in and copied and pasted in. And it's coming up with the report now. It's nearly there. It can help you too by actually literally going. So you could even do if you had competitors, or as I said, people who you admire, you could get them to do a LinkedIn analysis on their posts and what they're doing, and then give you tips based on what you want to know. It's doing the 5 post ideas now for wellness business owners based on its analysis of our page. It takes a little bit of time, but I think we're so used to ChatGPT just like doing things instantaneously, but this does the analysis, and this takes such little time compared to if I went off and did this analysis myself and sat there and tried to come up with these ideas as well. And we're nearly on the final step now. It's doing creating the plan. Great. So here we go. Let me just open this up so we can see better. So it's done the analysis of how we went during the last month. Engagement analysis. So it's given me total impressions and spikes. There was a decline from the previous month. But what's happening on the main days. Engagement rate. Then it's got the key insights. So content timing, engagement gap, low conversion, and content amplification. And then room for improvement. So they're the areas of improvement, but then we've got the different post ideas now. So it's come up with those. It's got, first of all, it's carousel and what should be on each. And the caption gives you the caption as well. Of course, you'd heavily edit it. Second is like an AI-powered content creation guide and giving you the caption to go with that. Yes, it took longer than ChatGPT, but it's based on actual analysis, not just coming back and using its own language learning model and its own models and data sources that it's been trained on. It actually goes off and does the research for you. That's the difference, which is pretty amazing. And so now let's get back to, so they were the 3 demos, all different sort of ones, but I just wanted to show you what an agent was and what it could do and the benefits of it. Because, so for example, when I wanted it to do the Canva steps for the new AI tools in Canva, I didn't sit there and watch it and go, oh, come on. I was off doing all these other things. And then I came back in 10 minutes and it was done. And then I just had to check it. And so imagine, it saved me having to do that legwork myself, which I'm pretty impressed with. And so we'll just keep going. The benefits are that it just is based on actual live analysis of what's going on right now. Now, if you want to use an AI agent, I'm not sure if you've got access to Manus. When I did it, it was only by invitation only, and I applied to do it, but I'm not sure if they've opened that up now. It's worth maybe giving it a try. The website is manus.com/app. I can put that in. I'll put it in. We'll send out a infographic with all the things that we've covered today. I'll make sure the link is in there. Start small and just get it to do like a little task, particularly a task that takes you forever that you don't want to do. That's a really good option. Be very clear with the prompts, and when it asks you questions back, give it the information that it needs, because then you're going to get something that is more meaningful for you. Always review and refine, please. It may still muck up, so you just have to go and check. And even with those options that it gave me and the examples, I still need to add my own human sparkle to it and make sure that it aligns with my brand voice. And you always use AI in an ethical way, and just keep learning and keep trying and practicing with it. If you want to learn more about AI, you're most welcome to contact me or follow me on LinkedIn and email me. I'm happy to have a chat and sit down with you. And then there's my book. I won't plug that too much. But our next webinar is going to be the end of July. I'm taking students to Mumbai on a social media study tour in June, so we can't do one in June, but we'll be back at the end of July with fact checking with AI. Important. So it's also fact checking what AI creates, but then also not overly relying on AI to do the fact checking, but a way that you can work with it to help you make sure that the information is accurate that you're producing. We'll send out information about that. And then my next paid workshop is, I didn't put the date on there. It's going to be also in July, and it will be around using AI for storytelling, but using it in a way that it amplifies your own experience, because AI doesn't have human experiences. We need to still supply that, but doing it in a way that will help you to write that and get that down and use that as content. So that's coming up. I should have put the date on there. Maybe something was missing, but we'll send out information about that too. And if you haven't already, there's a free AI community on Facebook that I'm building that's there. I do a free live every Friday afternoon, and people are sharing their doing and their tips and their tricks and what they're learning. I do demos of tools as well. And then you'll get also, as part of the group, if you do want to come to a paid workshop, you'll always get 25% for being a community member. And so you can just go into Facebook and look for the name, or we will send the link out as well with the infographic. And so that is it for me. For the next steps, as I said, try it out and experiment and just pick things that are going to be most useful to you, different tasks, and just check it out and see how well that actually works for you. And so thank you so much. I hope you found that helpful. And I guess just if you hadn't seen an AI agent in action before, hopefully there was some good examples that you can use, and it's inspired you to go back and have a go yourself. Thank you so much. And we'll be in touch with some resources that you can use with your own AI experiments.